r/ask Reddit. What is something socially accepted if done by a man, but not if done by a woman? Not wearing a shirt. This used to piss me off so much when I was prepubescent, playing out in the summer with my friend, who was a boy, and he was shirtless. And we went around all over and I got really warm, so I took off my t-shirt. Our torsos looked identical, but strangers came up to me and asked me to cover up and let him be shirtless in the heat, because apparently prepubescent girl nipples must be hidden. I was 7, and I was pissed. My sister has psoriasis, and so my mom would sometimes send her out to play in the backyard with her shirt off because UV can help clear it up. Then one day she looked out to check on her and she was gone. Turns out she decided to take a bike ride up and down the street, still shirtless. She didn't exactly get in trouble for it, but my mom did have to explain that no shirt time can only happen in the backyard. Letting others know how bad you have to take a shit. My girlfriends and I all came up with the term going to a meeting so that we could say we have a long meeting, or a quick meeting coming up. We all knew it meant taking a shit. Finishing up a little paperwork and I'll be right out. Body hair. I wish it wasn't considered weird for a man to shave his pits, or I would. That hair holds some kind of mythical stench power. Just do it. I do. And so do a bunch of other guys. Trust me, you're more hung up on it than anyone else is going to be, if they even notice at all. Not engaging in childcare. Apparently my husband deserves a medal according to strangers for parenting. Women have thrown themselves at him assuming he was single. People have assumed I was a deadbeat. People have called parenting his own child babysitting. That shit makes him so livid. Edit. Thank you for my first gold. Kind stranger. Keep on being the best parents you can be. Ladies, gents, and everything in between. Even if you feel that means having your spouse ex-pet llama bring up the slack because you're not currently in the right place to give them the love that they need. Or if you're afraid to do too much of the work because people are sexist jerks. Just support and love your kids to the absolute best of your ability. Now go get babysitting. I am that dad. A surprising amount of people assume my wife died. Others think I'm only doing it for the brownie points. A lot of guys think I'm being taken advantage of by my wife. It's ridiculous. Oh, you're here shopping with your girls by yourself. Sorry to pry, but what happened to mom? Huh? A show is on. Being taller than my ass. Oh, he is 161 centimeters tall and has an amazing personality. He is 3 years older than me. I get dirty looks for holding his hand in public and people called me out as his mom or a weirdo just because I am 185. I ducking hate it. 185 is pretty old. You think that's old? The guy is 188. Growing a handlebar mustache. I'm glad that goatees are finally accepted by all. We'll get the handlebar style next. If a man can tend his stubble till it sets into a stash, then I hardly see the trouble of a lady's lip panache. I could get a little hairy. I could grow a little beard if it wasn't seen as scary, and it wouldn't be so weird. But this world is cold and careless, and I've sadly come to know I am doomed to walk it hairless, and I wish it wasn't so, peeing behind a bush or in a urinal. I must say, people usually don't like when anyone pees behind a urinal. Edit. My most upvoted comment and the original comment was changed, so now I look like a fool. Being taller. Had 2 girlfriends who were taller than me. Holy shit. I never heard the end of it. Edit. Probably should have mentioned that I didn't have 2 at the same time. There were long gaps in between. Shit, my ex-GF wasn't even actually taller than me, she was just approximately the same height, and I heard about it fairly often. I mean, WTF, why would that possibly matter to me? I just do not get it. Work in manual labor. I know a handful of lady bricklayers, just as experienced and good at their jobs as their dude co-workers, but they get so much shit for it both on and off the job. This used to happen to me all the time when I worked with my dad, who owns a tree trimming business. One time I was using a pole saw to cut down some branches when this elderly man walked out and said he didn't feel comfortable with a young lady using that type of equipment. My dad told him I was more than capable and to politely mind his own business. We weren't even cutting his trees. Edit. I'd like to add that it wasn't just the elderly with the more outdated views that would give me trouble. When my dad hired new workers, they were either overly nice about it, suggesting they do more of the strenuous stuff, aerial lift, wood chipper, chainsaw, etc. Or they were super dongs about it, saying that they didn't want to work with a woman because they felt they were going to have to pick up the slack. Yep, they would say that shit right in front of me. Our regular workers would stay in their lane because they knew I put in just as much work as everyone else, if not more at times. Customers would constantly comment on how well I worked, how strong I was, etc. Not saying I didn't appreciate the praise, they just complimented me, the only woman on the job, and no one else. Customers weren't usually as intrusive as the story with the elderly man mentioned above, but they would comment on how I was doing dangerous work and how I should be careful. They never were that concerned with what the guys were doing. The point I'm trying to prove is that I was 100% treated differently for being a chick. I worked for a guy that owns a home maintenance renovation business. His daughter was in college and worked with us in the summer when she was off school. Now when this girl wants to get all done up, she is absolutely gorgeous, even in work clothes, shorts, jeans and a shirt. She was a looker. I had worked with her for a while already and we became pretty good friends. This girl worked harder than most of the guys that worked with us. She was total beast, but because she was a small to medium attractive woman, she got a lot of shit from newer guys that worked with us. Same stuff you described. My absolute favorite instance of someone unfairly judging and trying to demean her was when we're doing a huge mulch job. Midsummer, hot as hell, slinging 40-pound bags of mulch all day. She and I pull up to the job site with a trailer load of mulch where 2 other guys are working already. I hop out, tell them we have to unload it. One newer guy comes over and says, "Hey man, I can't unload the mulch. I have a bad back." Trying not to say "then why are you here?" I just say okay. At this point, previously mentioned lady comes over and slings 2 bags of mulch, 80 pounds, over her shoulder. He looks at her and sincerely says, "Oh, do you need help with that?" As if he was worried about her. She looks him in the eyes and says, "No, I'm not a kitten, I can handle it," and walks off. Needless to say, he ended up helping unload the trailer. Having a stay-at-home spouse. Stay-at-home moms definitely deal with getting the snide side eye from other women. I can only imagine how much it sucks for stay-at-home dads. They're almost always regarded as lazy deadbeats that don't deserve their kid's or spouse. Take welding classes. Apparently, I was the only girl in high school in the class, and by the 3rd day the rumors flying around about me were horrendous. I was apparently only taking the class so I could sleep with every guy in there. The teacher begged me not to quit when I talked to him about it. He'd had 4 girls take the class in 10 years and all of them had quit because of the rumors. Or you're simultaneously sleeping with all the guys and a lesbian. Welcome to the world of being a female cop. I was accused of sleeping with men to get the job, to keep the job, to get promoted, you name it. I actually reported my first field training officer just 3 days into my job because the ass clown repeatedly asked, in front of others, how long I'd been ducking the recruiter in order to get hired. It was infuriating and it's utter bullshit to put up with, because the moment you complain, you're one of those beaches that everyone has to tiptoe around. I transferred to a different district where I was very happy. Fortunately, to this day, I still hate the guy and hope he got fired from law enforcement. He was a total douche. Edited to fix typo. Really late, but it bugs me so here, being smarter than another man. I work as a technology expert at Office Depot, an office supply computer retailer. My fellow expert is a girl, same age as me. We have both built computers, taken classes, and are avid gamers. She knows more than I do in some areas, and vice versa. An unbelievable amount of customers will blow her off to talk to me, or will ask me to verify what she has already told them. Sometimes she'll even tell them, "I can help you, I'm a tech expert here," and they'll say, "It's alright, I wanna talk to that guy." Almost exclusively, this happens with men or women who are with their husbands. It's like it's taboo for a woman to be smarter than a man, and it really pisses me off. I'll straight up tell customers, "You should ask her. She knows more than I do," when they do it. Edit. This is now my highest rated comment. Thanks Reddit. Edit 2. I know it's cliche, but now I know what people mean by ripping box. Also, gold. Thank you. Stranger. Guests see the home theater I set up and assume my husband did it. I'm like, He only knows what remote goes with what because I told him. Reading this made me realize I totally associate home theaters with men. Which is pretty odd considering I am a woman who would one day like my own media movie game room. In an office situation that is predominantly male, I'll hear lewd jokes day in and day out, each guy outdoing each other in grossness for the sake of humor. It doesn't bother me at all. But then I jump in and suddenly it's you gross because I'm a female who said it. I am the only male in an office with 12 employees. The shit I hear. Try having a cube next to the restroom. You hear all kinds of shit. Propose marriage. I refuse to enforce this social norm. If my girlfriend wants to propose to me, she can damn well propose. Edit. Clarification. I'm all for the girl proposing, but I'd still be incredibly happy to do it myself. Hint hint. D. Casually liking sports or video games. God forbid a woman like football and not be able to list every stat from her supposed favorite team, or else she's not a real fan. R/gatekeeping. You probably can't even name 5 examples of gatekeeping, dude. People like me who have been pointing out gatekeeping for years don't like it when casuals like you try to do it. Deciding not to get married or have kids. Additionally, the expected life after getting married and having kids is much different for each gender. I served in the military until my older 2 kids were 6 and 4. The first thing most women would ask me after finding out what I did for a living was, "Ro, how can you leave your kids?" I could never do that. The go-to response to dads was, "Thank you for your service." That was over 10 years ago and things seem to be improving a little in that regard. But working moms and stay-at-home dads still deal with some idiotic comments. Well, thank you for your service. Sterilization, especially before you're 40. But what if your husband wants kids down the road? Well then he wouldn't have had a vasectomy. Which, by the way, no one gave him shit for. Shit, my wife got herself tied up at 29. A few months before we started dating. She hates kids. And I don't want any. Her mom even drove her to the procedure. I believe her mom's quote was, "You'd be a terrible mother anyways." This wasn't said in a mean way, just honest. My wife agreed and they had a good laugh over it. Edit. If you live in California, they are legally not allowed to not perform the procedure if you ask. If you sign a waiver that you won't sue if you change your mind later. Turns out she just went to Kaiser. Also, there's a way less invasive way to do it. Instead of actually getting your tubes tied called Escher. Basically, they put a couple screw type things into your tubes and scar tissue grows around them. No surgery, and you're fine a few hours later. I want the name of her doctor. I have been trying to get mine tied for 20 years. I have multiple health issues, many genetic problems, and never wanted kids. Yet every doctor refuses to do the procedure because you will change your mind someday. Nobody cares if a man shaves his head, yet people find it odd that a woman shaves her head. Well, until recently people found it odd when a guy had long hair. It can still happen. Edit. Wow. My most upvoted comment is about dirty hippies. Edit 2. The dirty hippies thing is a joke. Chol. Most of history has guys with long hair though. It was just a small century thing with the short hair. Letting their hair turn grey. My aunt had her hair turn grey at 29. It was cool, plus I think this is becoming more respected, at least with the people I know. Salt and pepper is awesome. Being the breadwinner of the family. In many families the man and woman both have jobs. I know men that would be very uncomfortable if their partner made more money than them. This is especially the case when the male assumes a stay-at-home role. But I think people will have more beef with the man than the woman in this situation. I said this before, but I got lucky in that I married a guy who doesn't care that I make twice what he does. He's secure in his manliness enough to not care. Plus I'm sure he loves all the free beer. I wish my wife made double what I do. That would be lovely. I don't get guys who get offended by it. Be proud of her for being successful. I know this is a stupid one, but bedhead is an everyday hairstyle. No, that's valid. Look at how many guys who will go out in public in clothes that look like they've been slept in compared to women. I think the women care about this way more than men do, which is the problem. I also know plenty of girls who pull off the "I'm hungover but I got shit to do" look. Aging. I think there was an article before dealing about this. especially in Hollywood. Before 25, a female actress would get all sorts of appealing roles. However, once a woman hits 25 and above, she will most likely get aged roles or worse, motherly roles, despite her being significantly younger than her male counterpart. I rarely see a movie where male and female leads are a similar age, unless it's a teenage movie or something like that. It's always as young, new, popular actresses with 40-something still popular, because, oh, they're like Vine. Just look at those sexy grays and wrinkles. Actors. As a 32-year-old woman dating a 20-year-old guy, let me tell you the shitstorm it's caused. However, when I was a 29-year-old dating a 50-year-old man, no one thought anything of it. It's weird for women to date younger, but not for men to do so. As a single 30-year-old woman, I am currently getting matched with 24-25-year-old dudes. For a while I was kind of confused about what a dude that's that much younger would want to do with me, but then I got over it. Younger women date older dudes all the time, and I think it's mostly for financial security. If we are going to be honest about it, there are 38-year-old men that are as mature as a preteen. So I really don't buy the maturity argument. But, if I've got younger dudes that are wanting to date me, who am I to argue with that? Edit. My inbox is really getting a lot of action. Hi, it's me, a 24-25-year-old dude. Maybe not completely socially acceptable but openly bragging about sexual conquests. I disagree with that. I'd say guys bragging about their sexual experiences are generally regarded as douchebags. It's true though, if a guy brags in front of a group of people, he expects to be considered a stud. If a girl does the same thing, she's considered a slut. Yesterday, I watched a video on YouTube of the top moments from Ellen's show, and one of the moments is when Mario Lopez decides to show off his underwear after she asks him what he's wearing. It was for some underwear campaign he was in, but she also takes it upon herself to unbutton his shirt so the audience can see his abs, and he laughs it off and tries to get her to stop. My first thought was, especially with Hollywood being called out for its perversion lately, that if the tables had been turned and Ellen was a man asking a girl to show her underwear on TV and then unbutton her shirt without asking, then people would have probably freaked out. Basically, you can undress a man on live TV if you're a woman, but you can't undress a woman on live TV if you're a man. There was one episode of The View or The Talk or The Chew or something that was on one time while I was getting my oil changed. They had the buff guy from Criminal Minds on, and all the ladies were basically fainting and moaning about how buff and good looking he was. They eventually bullied him into taking his whole shirt off because they wouldn't shut up about it. Now, I'm not saying that this in any way affects women that are being harassed and assaulted today, but that interaction just made me supremely uncomfortable. I can't even imagine how he felt if it wasn't planned. Reminds me of that episode of The View where some football player was in huge trouble for hitting his girlfriend after she hit him. It was all caught on CC camera. Hoopy was the only one saying, if you're going to hit someone, you should expect to get hit back. The rest of the women were arguing that she could have been beating the guy black and blue if she wanted, but it is never okay to hit a woman. Hoopy earned a lot of my respect then. Most normal bodily functions such as belching or farting. Men guy high fives. Ladies get weird side glances and looks of disgust. Also masturbation habits. It's cool if a guy whacks it off daily, but when I do it every night it's like some freak perversion. I just like to sleep soundly. It helps. Typically an assertive man is respected, while an assertive woman is viewed as a bitch. Wearing the same outfits to work every day. Naming your kid after yourself. You don't hear about Gene Smith naming her daughter Gene Smith Jr. I hate that. I love my given name and want to pass it on, but no, it's weird to do that. As someone that has the same name as his father, do your child a favor and do not name them after a parent. It's been over 20 ducking years of dealing with, no, that's not me, that's my dad. The last of which was him putting a redirect on his mail this past winter because the Snowplow took out his mailbox. So he opted for a PO box. And guess whose mail also got redirected? I've gone to the post office 6 motherfucking times and part of my mail is still getting yellow tagged and shifted to his PO box. For duck's sake. Tax forms. The mail. medical records, a goddamn background check because apparently no one pays attention to SSNs either. So much rage. So much rage. Edit. It appears that I have found my people. Hitting, fighting, etc. It's always brushed away as boys will be boys. Or that's just what men do, but if a girl woman does the same she's crazy or a beach. Gonna be really low on the board here, but being a mechanic, we are constantly shit on and overlooked as competent techs. Even if I have 15 years experience. Still had guys going behind me checking work and male customers refusing to let me work on their cars. Funniest part is when the guys give me work they couldn't do and the customer asking them to double check it. I'm just happy to be disabled now. Kinda. Showing nipples. Whipping her dong out at the urinal. Being the one to initiate conversation relationship with a person from the opposite sex, especially in online dating. No guys actually hate when women initiate, no. It's just a thing women think men hate. Personally I love when a woman hits on me. It's only happened a few times in my life. Weirdly enough, manual labor. Edit. Ha manual. So funny. Ha. We can stop saying that joke now because I'm laughing. Not wear a shirt, pee standing up, or a man sitting down to pee. Being aggressive is bad trait for a woman, but for a guy it's being competitive. And as a side note, women in their 35 plus are considered less than or past their prime socially while men are considered in their prime at 35-55. It's true, just think about it. Having hairy legs. Being a gamer. Women are often not socially accepted as actually gaming, rather being a gamer girl. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.